You even know why. You are welcome once again. Today we'll be looking at key to understanding statistics. I term discussion is going to be a discussion, and I want people to open up to ask questions. This one because from the time we started this series of lectures, and from the experience I have over the years also, many people tend to run away from statistics. And as I often say, the knowledge of statistics bimodal. It's just like this Hodgkin lymphoma that is bimodal, the distribution peaks in a 2 age group among the pediatrics and then the 60 to 65 years old people. Now, the reason statistic knowledge is like that is because there are some secrets. There are some keys or secrets, either you call them keys or secrets to statistics. You see that if you don't know those secrets, it looks difficult. Once you know the secret, it looks very easy. And that is why people that know it very well, they tend to know it very well. And the people that don't know it, they just try, no matter the effort, see if the thing is not forthcoming. And you see someone that is very intelligent in his work, in his profession, if he has not gotten the secret, maybe some of them say that they have phobia for mathematics, but statistics, even though it's a branch of mathematics, is quite different from mathematics because it's not as bloodless as mathematics. It's not as dry as mathematics because sometimes mathematics just X plus this and just give you scenario. Sometimes when they even say they give you word problem, the word problem is still dry, but as you know, statistics developed over the years by biologists and social scientists. So the statistic is not bloodless. You know, the biological thinking is embedded into it, and social thinking also. So statistics is a way of modeling life situation. And that is why it's the technology of scientific method. Any form of research you want to do in any field, statistics is there as the technology. So for you, you cannot run away from statistics. And that is why sometimes when people, you try to present some topics and you make it easy for them, then after they are excited to move ahead, they don't want to. They just want to they want to be hearing that mean more than median, the basic concept. I can understand now. They are just and if you remain in that level, you cannot be useful. I mean, it cannot be useful to you also. And whether you like it or not, statistics is taking prominent position in research. Unlike many years ago where statistics, was not as important as it is today in research. People can just come with anecdotal evidence. Just say something without validity. You cannot validate it. They just, since the person is an authority, they just take it like that. But nobody take it that from anybody again. So you see that statistics is taking prominent position. And once somebody is a postgraduate student from masters and above, you are into research and statistics. Either you are doing the research in history or language, you must know statistics. So that is why you cannot push away statistics. Is because apart from the academic aspect, it's relevant in many aspects of life. And then we start with this maxim. This is my popular maxim. Statistics and management are two faces of the same coin, which is evidence-based decision. Statistics provide the evidence while management makes the decision. So I see statistics and management to be from the same thing. Many people say they don't go together. Why? We talk of evidence-based decision. Evidence-based. So if you conceptualize evidence-based decision as a coin. One side is the generation of evidence. You want to take decision, make decision based on evidence. How do you get the evidence? Statistics help you generate the evidence, while the management now make the decision. Once you have the evidence, the decision is made by management, but the decision made by management is based on the evidence generated by statistics. And that is why we talk about management, statistics, and all sorts. So you see that statistics is very relevant in every field of life, and it's very exciting for those who that know the secret. And once you know the secret, you are all over the world. Many people come with one problem to solve in statistics. It looks difficult for them, but once you know the secret, it's very easy for you. And that is why I just decided to discuss this issue. And then when you, if you have question, you can start chatting. As I'm discussing and talking, I will see once I finish, we'll be able to ask questions, discuss more. But you can be chatting your question or your concern so that it will be easy. So I want people to open up. There's don't be shy. If you feel that a particular question looks stupid to you, you want to ask, chat it privately to me. When you chat it, I will not read the name of the person that has the question. I just read the question and discuss it. So that's just it. So you see that when you talk about evidence-based decision, statistic is key in generating the evidence. The more the level of evidence is strong, the more the quality, the higher the quality of decision you're able to take. Now, there is a myth. I want to start with the myth many people have about statistics. They believe that having the knowledge about statistics is the only thing necessary to practice statistics. No, the knowledge is just one aspect of it. That is why if you go for a training or workshop, if you refuse to practice it, you forget. So is having the knowledge, attending workshop. So they have gone to Ibadan to attend. It's not just attending the workshop. And that is why in my own workshop, this lecture is more like stimulating people's interest. But when we now organize a workshop, we want you to have hand-on experience and through life situation. No problem, we solve it together with hand and also use machine to run it so that you can go back and do the same thing and you continue doing it. That is how you can actually get the skill. It's just like a surgeon. Have you seen any surgeon? Maybe he has received the lecture, everything, and refused to be in theater. In fact, it's apprenticeship. The more you do, the more you know. A surgeon cannot say, "Oh, I know what to do." Yes, what I would do is to do appendectomy to cut this muscle. If you have never cut it before, you have never been to the theater to do all the scrub and set up and be part of it, you don't know it. So if they ask you to, you cannot do it. It's a skill. It's not just book. Anybody can present anything, especially in lecture. People, even someone that has not done surgery can come and say, this is the treatment of this. You remove this is the muscle. You can come and present on PowerPoint, but enter into theater. That is what we are talking about. It's the same thing with statistics. It goes beyond number. Just say that yes, this is ANOVA, is used for this. Okay, we have data now. Enter it and run it and bring the result and present the result, generate the evidence. So that is just it. So it is not true that having the knowledge about statistics is the only thing necessary to practice. No. What are the other important factors we want to look at? So as we go through all those important factors, will give you key that will unlock to understanding statistics. Now, number one, you need a belief. You can do it. A belief is very, very important. It looks social. It looks somehow. So the difference between, just like, if you remember Bailey and Law, that's popular surgery book. There's a maxim they wrote there at the beginning, one of the front pages. They say, To study the phenomenon of disease without book is to sail an uncharted sea. Studying book without patient is not to go to sea at all. So if you read and you don't do it, you don't, that's why the teacher said that medicine is 99% heart and 1% science. Though the 1% science is so big, so broad that you just need to study for life. As a medical student, you study throughout, you finish, you receive statistics to continue study or to start study. Until that you continue. In fact, once you graduate, you have, they say that after 3 months, if you don't study, you have expired. So that is just it. So the knowledge of statistics, you just have to have the confidence that you want to practice, you want to, and once we are talking of evidence-based decision, as a clinician, you need to know how to generate evidence, even if you don't even generate. Reading article, for you to understand the evidence in article about the current practice, about the current treatment. So when they put odd ratio, confidence interval, some people cannot interpret it. If they cannot, how would they know what is there? So they will not be able to know, understand the evidence that be generated, that be presented in the article. So there are a lot of things, apart from, even though you must be able to know, understand some things, and how, it goes. And you don't need to, everybody will not be at the same level in anything, everything. But at least you should be able to run some simple analysis, just simple analysis to see something. Even sometimes when you see an evidence in an article, you may have to cross-check, and there is a short way you can cross-check. So you just have to have the belief. Now, I put something here. Confirmation bias. This slide is trying to show what you know, what you get to know eventually, or what you get to see in anything, is based on the overlap of your belief and the fact. So confirmation bias is the tendency to seek, interpret, and remember information in a way that supports your pre-existing belief and worldview. Why did I put this one here? A few weeks ago, there's a person that is he was going for exam, part 2 exam, that been attending some of the lectures. So we were having workshop on all those, is it chi-square? Those chi-square, workshop on chi-square and t-test. Yeah, he said that why did he come that she felt she will not understand anything. And those are the basic inferential statistics. Because there's no, even as undergraduate, when you hear, there's nobody that will not know, even though you don't know much about, you've heard of chi-square. The most basic inferential statistic. You feel that it's true, you may not understand. You just have the belief. And when you are a consultant, when you become a consultant, and the basic, just to understand, you feel that you cannot understand it. So if you believe, you will not understand. That's just it. You will not understand if you believe. So you just have to believe that. Look here, the people, if you are not intelligent, you cannot even be in that profession anyway. Now you now know that the people that understand is not because they are better, they are more intelligent. It's because they give something out for it. That's just it. Time, effort, and something. So it's because they try to know the secret. And that is what I try to share. So you must first of all believe. So our belief overlap with the fact and evidence. Then evidence we believe is what you see. The one you believe is what you see. So if you believe that you cannot understand certain part of it, you will not understand. You will never understand. Even after many years in the field, there are many people, they read an article, or they read articles simple, and they cannot interpret. If their junior now ask them, they say, you don't need that one. You don't need that one. It's not true. So that's just it. There was a time I went for training in Jos, and a lady, a PhD student in chemistry, attended we're just talking about stem and leaf, and box and whisker. So when I explain the interpretation of when we talk about stem and leaf, is that I have seen it in the journal before? Has the supervisor said, "Oh, what you don't need it." He has the HOD say you don't need it. If you don't need it, why is it in the article? So if you don't need it, you say you don't know that we need to. And because if you actually say you don't know, it will stimulate you to improve. Okay, I will find out. And make you. But you just say you don't need it, and that's what they tell people. If you don't need it, why is it there? So you just have to have that belief. There's nothing difficult there. Now, your mindset. So it goes with your belief. Drive motivation and achievement. So I can get smarter in statistics. Learning you have go, okay, bit by bit. You may say, okay, the next 3 months or last maybe 6 months, the basic concepts I must be able to unravel them. And you begin to see how you can understand and you practice them before you know it. Then when you finish with that, you discover that thing that looks difficult becomes easy. Then you plan again for the next level gradually. So you make effort. Effort makes you stronger. It means that if you have your goal and you make effort, you have to spend some time and some money, to invest in that. Then you achieve more, higher achievement. So it's the mindset. So unless if you don't want to, and the problem we have with Africa, is that number one, the government don't spend money on research. Even the research we do also, we decide just to do research without impact. So there are some things you don't actually need government to do, is personal. But we try to see, because when a resource poor setting, we blame government for everything. Everything is government. Yes, government has issue, but not every issue we have government. In fact, it's generality of people. And that is why if any of the people also get to the position of authority, do the same thing because of mindset. So we should have the mindset that we can be better. We can be better, we can publish in high impact journal. We can our journal also here can be better. So you don't need to everybody KP, and at the end of the day, we promote ourselves based on that. And the developed world, they just laugh at us. That's why they don't take us serious. And they don't believe that anything good. They even think we are less intelligent. And that's why if some people make effort here, they marvel. Sometimes they don't even believe. They don't even believe that something. Sometimes some of them say that black cannot understand Euclid mathematics. Well, Euclid was an African, was in Egypt. So all those philosophers that came, all those philosophers, Greek philosophers, they came to study in Alexandria, Egypt. So what are we saying? So it's just a matter of we believing in ourselves. So people do, number one, we don't believe in that. We only believe in whatever is from abroad. Then commitment to best practice. After believing that you can understand statistics, you must be committed to best practice. What do I mean by best practice? There are steps, there are steps in data management. And when we talk about steps, we should be thinking of quality for at every level, because if you decide not to do the right thing, you cannot know the right thing at the end of the day. If you just cut corner, many people, they just, even, of course, from the conception of research, statistics is involved. From the conception, statistics, all to the carrying out of the research. And it's not only done analysis alone. What of sample size? It's statistical time, and it's statistics. That's why many people go to statistician to understand, okay, study design and the type of analysis they will do and the type of the sample size that will be enough. Even your how you collect your data, statistics is involved, and then analysis. How do you clean the data? How do you prepare the data for analysis? So generally, data management and up to the result, interpretation of research, the result. So you must focus on quality and you must do the right thing. Many people don't, you can tell lie with statistics. Many people tell lie with statistics knowingly and some unknowingly. Knowingly, they say that they know, especially when it comes for exam. When in our environment here, people believe that in exam, if somebody did intervention study, is higher, is better, is more rigorous than observational study, which is not true. It's not true. That in fact, it's a blunt misconception and lie. And many people they do after they do their so-called intervention. If it's not going, even if you do it, you didn't get anything. They not say that that should have all your intervention is wasted. So people don't. I'm telling you, all the intervention study I've analyzed for people, all of them tell lie. I can tell you that all of them, this country, they told lie. I got them. They all told lie. Even after you are, they still say, no, dude. And you cannot blame them completely because of the type of the system we find ourselves, where people believe that if this is not, you have your observational studies that are more rigorous, many things more costly and more rigorous than experimental design, some experimental design. So, in fact, the most costly studies are observational studies, the most costly study, because most of the time it involves community and you have to have large sample size for you to get what you want to get, and you have to do a lot of control for confounder because it's not ethical to perform experiment in those situations. So there's nothing that make experimental design to be superior. The only thing is that of course the evidence you get from experimental design for treatment, it gives higher evidence. That's just it. But there are some situations you cannot even perform the experiment. So even to even get the evidence from observational study is more difficult, more rigorous. So and sometimes also when you perform the experimental study, you still need for a drug now. If you perform experimental study, you need observational study to follow up. If you don't do that, you do a lot of havoc. For many years, randomized control trial have proven that low dose aspirin prevent death from cardiovascular disease. And they even do meta-analysis to prove it, and then people started prescribing low dose aspirin. Later, for many years, until some people discovered that many more people die from bleeding disorder because of the aspirin than they would have died from the cardiovascular disease. Why? Because they perform experimental design, forgetting that the experimental design, what you see is not the effectiveness of the drug, it's efficacy in ideal situation. And in real life, that this situation does not occur. So when you are doing your experimental design, you have exclusion. Epilepsy, not there. Pregnant person, not there. Sickle cell, not there. Hypertensive, not there. Many asthma, you excluded. But in real life, somebody can have cardiovascular disease and is asthmatic, and is pregnant, or he has sickle cell, or he has blood dysplasia. So there are many in real life, all those things they don't occur in isolation. So you see the observational study to now see the effect of all those things when that drug is being used in the society. So you just have to be committed to best practice. And one thing also is that if you are not committed to best, you cannot know the right thing. There are many times that many people that are not committed to best practice, when they analyze the result, maybe when the particular result now reach people that know what they are doing, maybe they want to publish in a high impact journal, and those ones are now querying this. They now begin to run to person that can do the best practice to sort it out. Or maybe they go for exam, they now meet somebody that is demanding the right thing from them. So in that case, they are now looking. So if you are in that shoe, you are the one that have helped somebody to do that, you have not followed the best practice, it will expose you. It shows that you didn't know what to do. So best practice is it's very, very important for you to know the right thing. And once people discover that you yourself, you lose confidence in yourself, people lose confidence in you. So best practice, you have been committed best. And in handling data, you want the best. It will force you to search, to study more, to know the best way to do this. What are those things to avoid as much as possible any error? Nobody is perfect, completely perfect, but you keep on improving, improving. But if you don't, you are not committed to best practice, you just do something shabbishly, and at the end of the day, of course, when you know the wrong thing, it's still the wrong thing. So there's no the wrong thing cannot if you know the wrong thing and you are doing the wrong thing, it cannot lead you the right way. You cannot improve. You only go worse. So you cannot say somebody is improving the wrong thing. If anybody is advancing wrong, it's actually deteriorating, it's going worse. So that is why you need to be committed. So after your belief, you must be committed to best practice. And the number 3 is experience in applying the skill in different situations. Very, very, and that one underscore what I was saying before. You must, it's not just the knowledge, you must, you have to do. The secret to statistics is study, read, and do. Read and do. If you read alone, you don't do. It's just like somebody, I usually say surgery because we know that in our field, that's the field that, when you talk about skill, you have skill in all that area, but you know that the surgical one is physical. You can see that you use your hand to do something. So imagine somebody, you are a surgeon, you only a particular surgery, you only read a particular, and you never done it. Even after, if you go anywhere to go and do the training, if you don't lay your hand, you forget it, because it goes with the hand, with the skill, with your brain once you do it. So you must be able to, once you practice. No, I remember when as a junior resident, when I started, my colleague that I know Ajib at that time, for part 1, the ONG, they write little book also. So I told my colleague there, say, let me barata, we are not writing the book because we are, in other faculty, you don't write. So ONG that write in part 1. So I told my colleague, no, ONG, bring your this, let me help you, at least let me contribute that. Because I'm using that one to perfect my skill. So I help most of my colleagues and give them, even when I've not done my own work. I help them to analyze, with their data. They appreciated it. So it's skill. The more you do, and sometimes there are some things that if I remember some of the way I was doing it, I will laugh now, because there are many things I didn't do, but I will try. I will go and do it, my own way, and come out. So I keep on improving on it. So you must do, if it is your, and that is why I love those people that come for our workshop. Sometimes they will just come and say, I was trying to run that thing now. I want data now. Yes. They say, okay, you are not disturbing. I say, you are not disturbing, because that is what I actually like that. Somebody that have learned something, you want to practice it. That is the only way that can make you remember to retain the skill. And you will see that there are not two situations that are the same when it comes to this issue of applying skill in different situations. Situations come in different ways. But the issue is that even if it's a new situation, there are some of the things you have done before that will help you. You now look, there are some areas you now need to brief for. Maybe you read more about it to now understand, now think differently. How will I do it? And there are some situations also, if you have tried to, solve many scenarios, after some time, they bring similar scenario to you. The experience, when somebody even talking to you, I have this problem, immediately you say you have already know, because you have handled such before. You tell the person, oh, this is what I thought. Okay, yes, how did you know? Because, many situations present different problems. You must be ready to apply. Not that, when I was a resident, many, as a public health person, the other faculty believe, the colleague in other faculty believe that This is your domain. So whenever they have problem with research, statistics, they come to you. But sometimes they come to some of our colleagues in public health, they will direct them to me. But the issue is that the person has come to you, a public health person, instead of you to make effort to even if you want advice from me, I'm ready to give. They just say they don't want to bother. They say, yeah, just go and meet this person. So that is not good enough because at the end of the day, if you think you read about it, you know about it, you don't know. You don't know anything until you do it. Sometimes you try something you know. When you want to, you discover that you don't even know. You are blank. You know, I when one of our training in Port Harcourt, after we have run something and give a sample and run it. Somebody say it's a surgeon. He said, wait, he doesn't even know how to. He can run this thing, but he doesn't know how to input and clean data. Yes, how can somebody that know how to? Okay, you know where chi-square is T10. Yes, but if you have to start from scratch now, or somebody say brought data to you, you don't even know how to clean before you reach that level. So that is why it's the more you do, the more you yes, you can make mistake. You cannot be perfect in a day. The more you do, nobody is actually perfect. It's only that you are just if the person you think is perfect is not perfect, it's just near to you, is near perfection. It's better than you. That's all. And you can be better. You can be better every day. Everybody becoming better every day. That is why you apply the skill, ready to do so. Even if it is to lay your hand, when you are now blank, you can now look for help. So, but the only thing is that if maybe you are going for exam, very important exam, you just learn. You may not be able to analyze your data to the standard. You just, you can see, not that it doesn't stop you, but you can see it's your data running, and at least after you have done something, if you see that it's not up to the standard, now look for someone that is better than you to help you finalize it. Okay, help me analyze it. So when you pass exam, when you now come to maybe other writing paper or small, you begin to put your hand on it. If you do it and it still remains small, you ask for advice. You ask for advice, and they will advise you. And the one you think is too difficult, they can help you. But later, you may still learn to overcome that. So, and the funniest thing that even as a physician, it doesn't preclude you from even handling data from outside the field because statistics is the same. It's just the situation that are different. Even some of those other fields that are similar situation here. Even so, you can even from engineering field, from economics, so that you can still be of help to a certain extent. We know there are some things that are common in each field. So the statistics is like management. It's broad. The application is global. No, management is not a domain of anybody. It's not a domain of anybody. The statistics is becoming like that. You discover that people that say they are statisticians, they study statistics in school. But the issue, the people that develop statistics, they didn't study it in school like that. The biologists, professionals, biologists like you, social scientists, they are the ones that determine this, they develop statistics. Those people that will now go to school to study statistics, they usually have problem teaching statistics because they only go with formula. It just x by x, this one, and this, just with writing equation. And they don't, as if it has no life. But you take a professional that is applying it, using it. So that is why you can see there was a time somebody was doing his PhD. Somebody who is a lecturer, a PhD holder, so and I like there are two groups. The person just ran with the Spss separately. So when he just separately, I just gave the output to the person. The person was blank, didn't know what to do until they now refer him to me. So until then, the person, I'm not saying the person doesn't have the pay, he has the pay, he's a statistician. But if he doesn't apply, he doesn't use it often, he will not know. That is just it. So it's just like somebody look at professor of banking and finance. Compare him with a banker who is experienced in banking, who knows banking more. The professor just is, his own work is in the university where they keep book. What the discovery they have already done in banking for years is for him to read and give it to and pass it to the children, to the student, so that as they are going out, they have that basic knowledge. So unless that professor make himself relevant and practicalize it and make contact with the people in the banking and solve it, it will not put him in bank, it will run down the bank. That's just it. So that is, it's not a matter, it's skill. So we are talking of skill, and the word now is a word of skill, not the word of certificate. It's skill, what you can deliver. Is what you can deliver. People want, they have problem. They want someone that can solve the problem, not the person that presents certificate that I have this, but you cannot solve the problem. Now, proficiency in using the tools. I mean, when we say tool now, you know, gone are the days. If you think you learn statistics without software, you are wasting your time. Because in those days, from 50 years ago, when there was no computer like this, you solve with hand, and there was a limit to which we could go. And now the computer has made things easy, make us to involve in complex this thing. So what I do in our workshop here is to use a small sample to give you the concept so that you can solve with hand. You know the logic, but we still go and now run it with the machine. You must know how to use the machine. You must know it. Just like, why can't you say, okay, you trek? Just like in those days, people trek from Lagos to Kano. You have to spend months on the way trekking, months before you arrive, come back. So in those days there was no communication. If somebody travel, just travel until he comes back. Even if they don't see, maybe the person even die on the road, they will not know. But there's means of communication now. We have flight, we have many means of transportation and communication. So why can't you be trekking? So many people. There was a time somebody was doing a PhD in one university, one of the state university, and they give assignment, and she ran it with Spss. They said no, they don't want that. They don't want that. So you go and use hand to solve it. But yes, it's good to have the understanding, the logic. You can ask, you can test the person if you know the logic behind. But how can you? How many will you even use hand? You can only even use hand to run data that are very scanty. When you're having big data, will you be using hand? Will you be using hand? So to see how backward thinking people are, so you just have to be proficient in the use of statistical tool. And the literate of this era, of this millennium, it's not good that cannot read and write, people that cannot use computer. It's not just having, when they say use, you cannot use computer to do what you're supposed to do. Not that many people can use computer to type letter, to do something. But we're talking, if you say you are a researcher, you are a lecturer, or you are a whatever you are, especially in our field that you need evidence all the time to make decisions. And you cannot use computer to do some things. If you just use computer to do some, type letter or do something, you cannot basic thing with your statistics, and you say you know statistics and you are doing statistics. You're just wasting time. You, to a certain level, you don't need to be, there are levels. You don't need to know everything. So even the person that is talking to you, in fact, the more you know that what you know is very small compared to what you need to know. So, and that is why we have issue with Africa. What we know in Africa, with the level we are, is not up to 1% in a particular field. And that is why we cannot develop. When you see the advancement that has been made in other parts of the world, and now where we are, and we are still, what we are, everybody just looking for, we cut corner, If you want to become a professor, just to just want to be, once the person becomes a professor, stop learning. Whereas even if you become a professor, that is where now you have a title. You must be able to live up to the expectation. Or when you become a consultant, you have the title. In our own language, they say that if they make you the chief up, you must be able to carry chick. So you must be able to carry chick. So if you cannot carry chick, so sometimes the system give birth to you, need to give back to yourself, and that is what we are talking about. You know, to improve your skill, and there are many packages. I try to compare the packages, the different packages, statistical packages. If you see I just have 1, 2, 3, about 6 of them here. The commonest one you may be aware of, SPSS number one. Number one, if you look at the last row, when was it released? It was in 1968. It was the first of all of them you have here, 1968. And SCS was released in 1972. So SPSS is statistical package for social sciences. SCS is statistical analysis software. Then Starter, JMP. This one is John McIntosh project. So it's from SCS, it's an offshoot of SCS. And we have R also, and we have Python. Yeah. If you compare them, if you see the first row, learning curve, what we mean by learning curve is that learning how efficient it is, able to do your work for you. So gradual, SPSS, 30 steep, SAS, you're going to see the reasons like that. Gradual for starter, gradual for GMP, and 30 steep and steep for Python. All those ones that are steep mean that the level of efficiency is high. But if you look at the next line, how the user interface, those ones that are steep, they need programming. Can you see now? Well, if you understand programming language, is faster, it's more efficient. So if you look at SPSS, it's the easiest among all of them. And they are the first to come, and they are business people. So they try to develop the graphical user interface so that when you just click, some people that you don't know, if you are committed, if you even see the intelligent person sit down with it, you learn it on your own. If you are committed to it, because they develop the graphical user interface very well. It has programmed better. The graphical user is very highly developed. It's point and click, just like they say point and click, key. It's point and click. And that is why I use it for, it's the best to learn statistics because it's easiest for people to teach statistics. Okay, if people that are afraid of statistics will now be teaching with the one that require programming. So it's the best. It's easier to teach statistics. And SAS is programming. Starter is both programming and point and click. So if you look at it now, after SPSS now, the next one that is user friendly now will be Starter, because they have also developed now, they are developing their graphical user interface gradually. So you can actually click also the more of commands still. So if you look at GMP, point and click, so if you look at the GMP also, is an offshoot to make it easier, because let me tell you, the SPSS is the most expensive, and I believe the one that have made so much money, because they respond to customers' demand. Because most companies, that's what they use, because it's easy to use. And maybe that was why the SCS also the JMP now came out, develop JMP to make it easier also to use. Then R and Python programming. But you see, if you look at their data manipulation also, you see that, let me use my touch. If you look at data manipulation, it's strong in SPSS, very strong in SCS, strong in Starter, strong in GMP, very strong in R, and strong in. So you see, those ones that require programming, Their data manipulation are very stronger. Data analysis, very strong. SPSS, very strong. Well, almost all of them. DMP and Panda, Python, strong also. Graphic, the best graphic, excellent is hard. Give the best excellent graph, followed by starter. No, followed by starter and DMP SAS. But SPSS and SAS, they're just good, and Python, they're just good. So the SPSS is improving small in graph, but the best graph, excellent, no colorful graph, even sometimes three-dimensional is hard. Now, graphic, okay, I think I talked about that. Cost, of course, SPSS is the most expensive of all. Very expensive. Then SAS also is very expensive. Then, but there is student discounts for student for SPSS. Then there is free version for SAS for student. Starter is affordable. It's not as expensive as SPSS. The student, they have student version also that have discount. Then DMP also, student version, yeah, with discount. Then R and Python, they are free. Those programming, they are free. So all you need to know is if you can develop your programming skill, be able to use them. Then I've talked about when they were released. SCS, SPSS 1968, SCS 1972, Starter 1985, GMP SAS, SCS is 1989, and HAR is 1995, and Python 2008. So it's good. If you want to improve yourself, all you need to do is start with the simplest. When you start, and that is why now we are told by next year now, from next year now, in our level start, we bring in starter also, along with the SPSS, we bring in starter. After that, once people get to know, we move to other, more the one that require programming. Because it has to be gradual. You cannot be bringing programming for people that have not even know how to use point and click. So then the last thing there is number 5 is a resource library. You must have, sometimes if you can give problem to you, data, you don't need to. Sometimes if you know that you are deficient, you can read up and see. You get information. You can read about it. I was telling some people the first time I did ROC, I was not even using SPSS, I was using P-Info then as a resident. I read about it a week before, and my prof now sent something to me. That said I sent to me for one project which I analyzed. They now requested, they said they were okay with the result, but they requested for ROC. He now sent to me to do. I said, ROC, that's what I read about it. I have to go and reread it now, reread to now grasp it very well. And by that time, you cannot use Epifo to do it. Yes, I was not using SPSS. So I have to now do the cutoff myself and now use Excel to do it. But I understand the logic. I understood the logic, I read about it, and I did it. So you need the library, you need resources. So you can refer to that. Sometimes you create some time to study about it. There are some of the book will be referenced. There are some books that may be very small and teach the subject that you can sit down and discipline yourself to read something up. So you just need gradually. And that's the best. When you have a challenge or somebody bring a problem, since you want to solve it, you go and read about it. It has stayed. And once you're able to solve it, it should be a record you have solved, you know how to solve that. And they will keep on referring people to you in that line. This is the person that helped me did my own. They now refer to you. And that one will become simple. If you encounter another one, it's not everything they brought to me. I was able to. There was a time they brought something. There was a graph we need to provide. The deficiency we had was I couldn't get the software that would do it. I read about to understand it. I knew software. All this because there's something all this software they have their good and the bad aspect. advantages and disadvantages. And there are some other software that are for specific. Like for meta-analysis now, it's from version 15 that you up that you can use Tata to do. Then Spss you cannot use it for meta-analysis. Before you have to install something and start out to do it, but now it's already incorporated. How you have to download how and now install. So all those things. So you need resources. You need to, so, and that is what I'm trying to build. Also, we're trying to build in leverage that to have resources, bring resources. About books on its own, I'm still looking. I have a lot of library, even here one that I'm looking for the ethical aspect of it. Is it to put those things in the site? But apart from the book directly, I'm trying to bring every resources, all the resources I generated will be on the website for you to have access to the resources. And if you have questions, if I go and do more research on it, I'll put it there. So we keep on putting more resources as we are bringing all our slides, as we improve our slide and our module. But I discovered that many people, this is a jet age now. People don't want to read lengthy things. People don't want to read lengthy things. So that is why I try to make the module to be as concise as possible, not too much value. Because if you make it big like textbook, for you to be reading, so then slide. Slide we now have infographics and illustration, more of illustration, infographics. So you can combine module and slide. Then the video, since people like watching video, and that's why we have all our lectures there. And all this time, instead of you, when you are maybe you're on the road, you are doing something, you just want to realize, instead of you to be watching useless thing, observe that they send to you, you can open to those resources, even with your phone, and watch the the relaxed mode and watch some of those statistics. So that is, you need resources. And then our approach in leverage start is there are three cardinal principles I follow. I try to create enabling environment for learning statistics without being bogged down in the equation formula. Even when I open textbook, it just really formula. Sometimes they are not necessary. Sometimes because these people, they just do it, that they say they put it there so that people will feel like this, they know it. It's just like a lawyer. There are languages they use. They say advocate. They will not use simple language. Just like you also as doctor, you use some word. You use some word that when they say that, the people don't understand. But statistics has become a global subject. It's like management. So many people from different fields want to learn it. So it's not by writing formula or sort of nonsense. They have no. After all, formula is modeling the real thing. It's trying to represent it's not the real thing. So why not create a way of conceptualizing so that people have the mental picture of that thing? Then from there, if some of them want to, even sometimes you don't even need it. Once you understand, you discover that people will now understand the formula set. And there are some things also you don't need to know the formula to be sincere with you. Once you understand the concept, and you know what is, and you now know how to use your software to run it and interpret. But you write a long formula. No? We are not saying if you are doing master and they see, maybe you are in school, they still want you to be right, they saw you, of course, now you must know the formula. But the issue is that if you were able to even conceptualize it very well, the formula will be easy for you to use when you are using it, when they give it to you. So we try to present statistics in a way that won't be boiled down in equation. Then from very basic to advanced level concept. And that is why I recommend, the way I actually list all those videos. If you are green, start with the basic concept. Basic concept, descriptive statistics, influential statistics, probability, probability, then inferential statistics. Now you begin to that introduction to inferential. After that, you begin to go into all those specific chi-square, t-test, ANOVA, regression. You know, all those things will be coming up. You know, as you do, you go through the basic concept, you understand all those things like parameters, statistics, scale of the measurement, the difference between inferential and descriptive statistics, the understanding, degree of freedom, all those things. Through simplified approach to using statistical package. So we try to create a platform for you to be able to use the statistical package, because there's no statistic in this age without statistical package. And that is why sometimes when people come for lecture, they say we are doing the workshop. Oh, it's not for them. And that is why what they learn, they will forget. That's just it. You forget what you learn unless you know how to put into practice. And just like what I said, even if it is the simplest one, like Spss said, and there are some packages also like WinPepi now that it's a calculator. That's why when you go for exam, some people, if you try to present the result, if your examiner is doubting some of those things, they quickly use the calculator, statistical calculator on their computer. Maybe something like WinPepi to cross-check. Maybe your chi-square, maybe you tell like. Some people they told me since the examiner doesn't have the data set, they just fish out. This one is not correct. So how do you get the best from our resources? Attend our lecture and workshop regularly. Watch the lecture and workshop videos. And watch them. Go through at your own time, lecture time. Go through the modules and slide also. Watch the lecture again. When you go through the module, because sometimes it is easier for people to watch, to listen, to grasp something. Then before you now check the module, then you come back to watch. Then try to practice, because and what I want to do now is that on the site also I want to put all those examples, upload them there. You can download those files and use to run. I will do that. Then ask us question. You can ask me question. Send, after you have done something, you've gone through it, something is not clear, book time with me, send me mail or whatever. I'm ready. Then I want to recommend, lastly, before we stop, for you to understand, I want to recommend for especially people that are green, they are afraid of statistics, and you have made up your mind now to improve. So you cannot start from the top. If you don't know much about some basic things, you cannot, even ordinary class, you won't be able to understand ANOVA. So there are some basic concepts: population, sample, variable, data, scale of measurement, parameter, statistics, descriptive statistics, and especially why I made mention of these three under descriptive statistics: mean, standard deviation, and variance. Those three things, as you see, they are the gateway to advanced statistics. Understand mean, standard deviation, and variance. When you cross from the basic to advanced, almost everything you meet is about mean, standard deviation, and variance. And then probability and probability distribution. There's no statistic without probability. There's no statistic without probability. In fact, the probability is the most important issue in statistics. So, and you'll be surprised that probability starts with the game of gambling. But the issue there is very, very important. I will still discuss more. Yeah, we'll be having some series of lecture on probability distribution. Even though we have talked about probability before, I want to talk on many probability distribution for people to understand the importance of this. So, mean, standard deviation, variance, then probability. Those are issues in statistics. Those are the issues. In advanced statistics, those are the things you meet. Those are the gateway to advanced statistics. Once you understand those concepts, then inferential statistics. The inferential statistics, the probability is the bridge between descriptive and inferential statistics. I think we stop here so that you can ask questions, because I say it's a discussion, but it's like the discussion is lecture is taking long. So we stop here. I take questions. So I saw 7 charts. That's great. Let me go through them. Yeah. What is about high impact journal share lifestyle? Okay, somebody say what is about high impact journal? When we talk about, okay, that was not even the first question. Okay, high impact journal. When I mean what I mean by high impact journal, there are some journal, you know, people that are actually looking for evidence in the particular area. They look for those journals, like all those Lancet and many BMJ, some international journal that have high impact. And whatever they don't publish anything. Any if you send your if it's not worth it. No, they are not interested in the money you are paying or something. They send it back to you. If it's something they cannot even, it's not up to start, they send it. Then if you need to make amendment, they tell you the amendment you need to make. So those journals that many people all over the world are looking for evidence in different fields. They hope for because they, they believe in credibility of what they publish. I have to leave, so I need to attend. Okay. Then over the years, I have observed that many researchers confuse research hypothesis with statistic hypothesis. This is big problem in our postgraduate program. Is there any need for research hypothesis in a simple descriptive observational study as raised? Thank you, sir. That's a very good one, Prof. You see, it's not, if you remember, people should go and watch. There is one of our videos or lecture, the logic of scientific reasoning. I talk about it there. We talk about some study they generate hypothesis. It's not every study that tests hypothesis. In fact, many descriptive study generate hypothesis, while analytical study test hypothesis. That's just it. And that's why we talk about inductive inference and deductive inference. So whenever the type of inference is a generalization you make from sample about the population, because you are interested in study what is in the population, and that attribute, the summary of what you want to study in the population is called parameter. But because the population is usually big, like you cannot attend to every element in the population because of logistic reason and cost and many other factors. You take subset of the population, which is sample. But whatever, when you summarize the attribute in the sample, the summary is called statistic without S. It's only carry S if it's plural. Statistic without S. The statistic with S, the plural form, or when you use it as the subject. So statistic parameter, that's different between statistic and parameter. So you are interested in the parameter, but you have access to the statistic if you sample you too. So you now make a generalization after you have finished. You now say, this is what you expect in the population. That is the inference. There are two types, inductive inference and deductive inference. Inductive inference is what when you are your work has generated hypothesis. The generalization you make is that maybe I just talk about pattern of driving in Abuja, and now it's just a descriptive study. But after I finish the work, I now discover that women are more likely to hit another person than men. It's a form of generalization I'm making up. But whereas I just sample about 300 people in Abuja, and I say women, in fact, they can even go to central Nigeria or North Nigeria. Women are more likely to have accident or hit another person. I just generated a hypothesis. No, that one is an inductive inference. But if somebody now want to study it, okay, is it true? He has to perform and carry out analytical study to have different sample of men and women. With that hypothesis in mind, that is it true that sex has something to do with the rate of accident? So whatever generalization you don't make now is either is true or false. That is deduction. That is testing hypothesis. It's not all study that test hypothesis. The analytical study is what tests hypothesis. Descriptive study generate hypothesis. So many people, when they don't know, they say, "What is your hypothesis? What is?" Some do this descriptive study. Say, "What is your hypothesis?" It's because they don't know. They don't know. Now, another one. Thank you, please, sir. I saw the SPSS is now statistical product for service solution. Okay, no problem. You know the IBM bought it. It was Spss Incorporated. Okay, that's fine. I think somebody have heard of it recently before. Okay, please, I will also like an explanation to what Prof mentioned about. Thank you. I think I have already explained it. Now, okay, somebody's SPS says Wikipedia, what the software name originally stood for statistical power for social sciences, reflecting the original market, then later changed to statistical product service solution. Yes, because this is not only, yes, you know, they just want to retain the SPSS. That's why they now look for something that is more general than social service that still carry SBSS. It's just like ECWA. If you do that conversation with ECWA, the meaning of ECWA is Evangelical Church of West Africa. When they now extended beyond West Africa, they are now looking at global strategy more than West Africa. Now they don't want to lose the ECWA. They now say Evangelical Church for Winning Hall. They still retain the acronym ECWA, but they try to look for what that will suit the ECWA. And that is what the SPSS have done now. So it's still SPSS, statistical product and service solution. Okay. And this have been. So any other question? Any other question? Any other clarification? Okay, I say okay. Okay, okay. No question. No more question. Okay. Okay. I think I'll stop here. By this weekend, let me just stop the